Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to this episode of Influencers Radio. Today, my guest, this guy has packed more into one lifetime than most people have even conceived. He started multiple businesses, directing and producing award-winning documentaries, to selling high-end real estate in one of the top luxury markets in Southern California. But he definitely took a ride to do that, and it wasn't an easy one. He personally went from borrowing on credit cards every month to finance his first small business to generating over $30 million annually in gross profits and building a company worth $100 million within 7 years. But this is the reason why I have him on Influencers Radio, because after all of that achievement, what he discovered was the real secret of success, what he calls how to happily achieve. He went from working 100 crazy productive work weeks to taking a 10-year sabbatical, spending priceless time with his family and traveling around the world several times, and developing a powerful focus on growing and contributing to others. So with that, I would like to welcome international speaker, corporate trainer, and business coach, and the author of the best-selling book, Think Yourself Happy. Please welcome to Influencers Radio, Mr. Greg Jacobson. Welcome, Greg. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Jack, for that awesome introduction.
Well, you know, one thing I want to jump in right away is I said that you discovered the real secret of success, which was how to happily achieve. Now, some may see it as semantics, but there's actually a big distinction between how to happily achieve versus how to achieve happiness, which I think probably people have seen quite a bit over the last few years. Can we dive right into that and get into the distinction between that, how to happily achieve versus how to achieve happiness?
That's a great question. Thank you. And that is a huge, huge distinction. And it takes a while to get there, but it's about clarity on what's important to you and what you want in life. And getting there is much easier when you know exactly where you want to go. So for me, I think wrongly, like many people do, or maybe even most people do, is that happiness is something that you get when you arrive at your destination, when you want. When you've got your degree, or when you've got your great kids, or when you've got your huge business and a big pile of cash, then it'll be waiting there. But that's not how it works. Happiness is something that you need to bring to the party. It's not something that you get when you arrive. So I looked into this in my own life, and I've been living this for years. And it's really important about doing the things that you want in life and spending the time with the people that you love in life. And you can achieve at high levels doing those things even more so than if you just nose to the grindstone, 100-hour work weeks, get it done, because I did that for years as well.
Well, you know, happiness seems to be such a ubiquitous notion, but in reality, it's a very personal and unique, thought or feeling for so many people. And one of the things that just really has intrigued me and why I was so glad to be able to get you on this show is the concept of happiness. I've read, and I wish I could give the author a credit on here, whoever had this saying, but they said happiness is something that few people experience in the moment, that it's usually a memory of something that happened, or it's the anticipation of achieving happiness because of something that they're looking forward to. And you touched on that just a moment ago. And I think a lot of people can really relate to that, about how happiness is something that they're waiting for. And I know there's one part in your book that you describe as the then I'll problem. Right. And so that may sound funny coming off my tongue there, the then I'll problem, but talk about that, because it really is something that I think everyone has experienced or is experiencing now.
Well, I deal with people from corporate executives to small children, to, you wouldn't believe how stressed out kids are. They really are, because they feel, and probably put on by their parents or teachers or both, that it's about accomplishment. You have to do, in order to have this feeling of greatness, that you have to actually solve problems or do something where you can get these attaboys. And so we get addicted to these. Once I get this problem solved, or once I do this, then I'll be happy. And what happens with, especially with high achievers, is they never reach the plateaus that they want because they keep changing their goals. So, for example, for myself, I want to make X amount of dollars this year. And when I get close to that, and it's only July, I say to myself, that was really kind of a low goal. I'm going to put an even greater goal on top of that. So I put another number and change it in midstream. So when I do hit my first number, there's no celebration, there's no joy in it, because I, again, like many other people, have set goals even higher and higher and higher. And so the goals never really become reachable. And the first goals that you set are never celebrated. It's about celebrating success along the way. And you hit the nail on the head when it's about living in the moment. There's only happiness in the moment. There's no happiness later on. So while you're having a great day, lock in those moments of the great day. So when you reflect at the end of the day, you didn't miss them. You just have a collection of thoughts that you've had throughout the day. And I think, again, this is missing in a lot of people's lives. And achieving isn't necessarily a monetary success either. It could be any kind of goal that you set for yourself, whether it's a weight goal or whether it's an educational goal. And people put off being happy for years and years and years. And then I go to graduate school, and then I go to become a doctor, and then I have to set up my practice. And all the while, they're missing all the beauty and joy that's right in front of them.
And I think what you're talking about is something that I would guarantee there's people listening that are having that V8 moment right now, because that, and then I'll be happy. We've all done that. Well, once I hit this goal, then I'll be happy. And you talk about even children. Once I finish grade school and can move on to middle school, then I'll be happy. Once I graduate high school, then I'll be happy. Once I get that college degree and get a job, and then I'll be happy. And I think that what leads us to the fact that you work with some of the people that come to you as clients to work through this are some of what people from the outside would see as some of the highest achievers there are. And it seems like they've come to that point, well, I did all the and then I'll, and the happiness didn't appear. Do you see that as being a big moment?
You're sure right about that, Jack. I mean, anywhere from top attorneys to billionaires to professional athletes, because they're just like you and I. They have same fears and insecurities. And once they've achieved these levels, they're looking back and saying, wait a minute, are my best moments behind me? Because for me, it was about achieving at that moment. And they may have missed a lot of it. And it's really about changes in perception and ideas of what's really important to you. Why do you want the gold medal? Why do you want $1 billion? Those are very dedicated people. And so they look deeper and deeper, and it usually comes down to love and connection for most everybody. They feel that if they don't succeed at these high levels, that they won't be loved. And that's something that I had to go through myself and realize that this was done at a very young age to me, and an understanding that I misinterpreted, that I had these gifts and I needed to go out and prove myself over and over on these massive scales immediately, and it's not sustainable. And what was really important was just love and connection and appreciation for being who I am. That's what everybody wants. And
it sounds like, a lot of times that thing that can make you truly experience happiness is right beneath your feet. And we seem to ignore that. As I went through your book, it started hitting me. And I guess the way I associate with this is how to happily achieve means learning how to enjoy the journey versus so many people that are ignoring the journey and waiting for that outcome to finally allow themselves to be happy. And it really is sad when you think about it in that, here it is all around you to experience, and we just seem to ignore it. One of the things that I want to bring up is the fact that you aren't a proponent, even though, your book is about, think yourself happy. You take a scientific, perspective, right, to happiness rather than just a kind of motivational and wish happiness true. So I want to dig into that a little bit, that you're not what people see as a typical kind of rah-rah, just, positive thinking and be happy. There's actually scientific, metrics that you look at and the way to get people to being able to happily achieve, right?
That's correct. I personally am not a naturally happy person. I don't walk around whistling with a big smile on my face. People ask me all the time, are you okay? Because I have a deep thought, and it shows on my face. I'm not a poker player. Everything shows on my face. So for me, happily achieving is something that I had to work toward and for and continue to work at, because it's the most important thing that there is happiness in the moment. And when I say happiness, I don't mean happiness ever at the expense of someone else. This is a global happiness, that this happiness would never hurt anyone else. So I want to make that clear, because sometimes people will say, yeah, well, happy at the expense of others. And that's not the happiness that I'm talking about. And again, it's not the whistling, singing in the rain happiness. This is a deep-seated contentment about being who I am and happy with what I'm doing. There's nothing to me more important than that, other than growing and contributing. It's all part of happiness.
You ask a very important question, and I don't know if you realize how important this question is, or how profound it is. There's one part in your book that just asks this one simple question: what does happiness look like? And to me, that's going to be a different answer to just about every single person. You have to know what happiness looks like to yourself before you can start on the path to going through the exercises that you talk about, to be able to happily achieve. What do people, how do they respond, or what is their thought, or is it a big moment for them when you ask that question, what does happiness look like? And how many people actually come back with, I don't know? Everyone is the answer. Most people, it's easy to picture what they don't like because they've had so much experience dealing with it. So to take the next step and to say, well, not what am I pushed away from, but what am I motivated to move toward, is a bigger question, obviously. And once they get their ideas and their thoughts around what's important to them, and I have them realize that they couldn't possibly get those things being the person that they are. So let me explain a little further. In order to have the things that you've never had, you have to do and become what you've never been and do the things that you've never done. And that's fairly obvious. So I show in a painless way how to move forward from where you are now by not letting the problems and stories of your past get caught up so you can't move forward. But I also don't drag people through the pain of their past. You're more than what you think and what's happened to you. You can change at any moment. And the point is to get clarity on what you want will help me help you move forward from there. For example, you can't get from anywhere to anywhere else unless you know where you're starting. So a roadmap is not helpful unless you know exactly where you are and where you want to go. So that's the clarity that we start with. Well, and I think that's what is a big difference in the simple answer versus the real answers that you provide, and I think it's incredibly powerful. You mentioned before about that happiness doesn't mean, I think you mentioned singing in the rain, walking around, humming and whistling and dancing. You talked about this deep contentment is, I believe, the way you described it. And one of the things that, you bring up is it's not just that contentment that is the reward. There are a lot of other things that people benefit from from that contentment, from being happy. And I think we all can think in our minds of that person that we can just immediately think of that seems to be happy. And they are what we would describe as a generally happy person. What are some of the benefits that people that are generally happy and genuinely happy, that they gain from that happiness other than just walking around with a smile on their face?
Yeah, that's fantastic, because the scientific research on positive psychology has proven that there's a lot of areas that are improved, and it includes every area of your life. So it's not just financial that's rewarding, it's every area. So improved productivity in every area, increased longevity, improved health. You get stronger, longer lasting relationships, and it's also been proven that married people have a lower divorce rate and they're married longer. People that are happy report greater life satisfaction. They certainly earn more money. They have a more positive attitude. They contribute more to people. They learn faster and easier, and they're more enjoyable to be around. They're better team players. They make fewer mistakes. They're more creative, and they solve problems faster, and they're better at it. All of those things are improved just by being in a happier mood.
Well, I'm going to jump back to one that I guarantee you caught some people's ear. And that was when you said earn more money. And the kind of the irony of that is so many people think that earning more money will make them happy. But you say that there's actually scientific information to back the fact that you may earn more money because you are happy.
Yeah, it's backwards.
Yeah, it is. And it's remarkable that if you just let it happen, it can, the natural way, it seems like it just is attraction. And I use that word attraction very carefully because I know it goes back to the people that want to wish something to be true. But you are very big on it, promoted that they have to actually work towards it, that there's things that they need to do, which brings me to the subtitle of your book, the Think Yourself Happy, is 5 changes in thinking that will immediately improve your life. So going back to the fact that we can't just wish ourselves happy, that we actually have to take an active, position and do something to make that happen. And you describe 5 changes that you can make in your thinking that will immediately improve your life. Can you go over some of those?
Sure, Jack. And you know as well that nothing happens without action. You can't just put a book under your pillow and learn. You have to read it, and you have to take the steps that are in the book, apply them in your life, and to get those changes. So the 5 changes, and again, these are just basic. This is a very easy read book, but you will get immediate results if you do these things. So visualization, that's one. You want to positively visualize what you want to happen in your life. When you wake up in the morning, visualize how your day is going to be. Make it good for yourself. Visualization works for professional athletes, for top achievers. I don't know anybody who's achieved massive results without visualization, nor do I know anybody who's used visualization and not had phenomenal results. So visualization of what you want, not what you don't want, is key. Most people are thinking about what they don't want, and they get nervous, and they have bad experiences, and it's attributed to their thinking. Second, positive anticipation. You have to have positive anticipation, and you have to know that things are going to work out in your favor, and that the universe is really conspiring for you and not against you. And you can see this in every point in your life. If you look back in the past at the things that couldn't possibly happen, whether it was I couldn't make my payments this month, or this will never happen, or I'll never go there, and it ends up happening. You don't know how, and you don't know why, but it works out month after month, day after day, year after year. So just knowing and working with positive anticipation takes a lot of stress off you if you live there. 3 would be choosing the right meaning. What does this mean to me? Okay, let's say something horrible happened in your childhood, and your father left when he was 8 years old, when you were 8 years old. And maybe he just had to go, or maybe he died. We don't know the reason for that. And that's terrible. And it can't imagine what that would be like for an 8-year-old. But when you're 48, that shouldn't really affect you the same way anymore. So you have to look back and say, okay, what what does that mean to me? What really happened? And how could I make that meaning be a positive thing for me rather than negative? And how would that change your life? So I go into that in much more detail, and I think it's something that's overlooked, that you can choose the meaning of anything that happens to you. 4 would be perspective. Compared to what? Now, if you ask that question, anything that happens to you, compared to what, might even be a good thing. You can think of something bad that's happened in your past, but it's not happening to you currently. And that was bad compared to what? Certainly could be worse. All situations could be worse. And if you got exactly what you wanted at that time, how would things changed anyway? You wouldn't be the person that you are now. And then 5, and that's just in this book, would be gratitude. Last but certainly not least, if you live in gratitude, you're happy in the moment. There is nothing else. There is no future. There is no past. And if you're looking at the gifts in your life, there's no negative. It's free. It's easy. It's available anytime. And I can show you exactly how to do that and remember how to do it more often. Because if you live in gratitude, your life is golden.
What would you say to people that think about, well, this is something for other people? This isn't necessarily something that would work for me. You know, I've just been dealt this hand, and this is the way I am and the way I'm going to be.
You know, that is the biggest hurdle for people not working with me, I've got to say. And once they do, obviously that changes immediately. Because when people realize, yeah, of course you're you, that makes a lot of sense. However, a better you is inside. A more happy you is inside. A more grateful you is inside. And you weren't always the you that you are now. You had to learn. You had to go through some changes. You had to have some beliefs. Well, we break through those old beliefs and we replace them, the ones that are negative and not helpful for you. And we replace those with ones that actually benefit you. So now you're still you. You're a much better, more improved, more fun to be around you, a more helpful you, a more engaged you, a more alive you. That's still you, of course. So anybody who thinks that they are themselves, they're absolutely right. However, if you think you can improve, then you're one of the people that wouldn't want to work with me anyway, because I'm all about results and improvement. I'm not a therapist that you go to for years and years and years, because that's not what I'm about. I'm about results, and I can help people get results that they're looking for in any area of their life and start to make changes and get results immediately. There's no lag time and there's no painful journey through this. It's all about moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons I think, you know, you're a true influencer is the fact that you don't put people through this, because we've all seen over the years different methods of making people relive very, you know, traumatic and painful memories and experiences, and you're very much about, no, it's about leaving that behind. It's not about reliving and resolving that, because that's not what I guess allows you to happily achieve.
That's exactly right, Jack.
You're a tremendous speaker. And if anyone ever has the opportunity to see you at any event or see one of your talks, it really is extremely powerful. And one of the things that you do in these talks is, you bring up stories. You're a great storyteller, and you talk about communities or different environments or civilizations, I guess you would, where people have a much different and simpler life, but the happiness level is off the charts compared to what we have in this society, where it seems like we have every advantage of achieving happiness. Can you run through one of those stories here for us, for folks that haven't been able to see you go through one of these in a live environment?
Sure. I do a lot of traveling. And for me, collecting experiences is the most important thing for me. Relationships are far and away more important than anything else. And through my travels, I get to meet fantastic and amazing people. And I stayed with, I don't want to say his last name, a friend of mine, Alex, and his family in New Zealand. We just got back. My wife and I were in the South Pacific for 6 weeks. We had some work and got to see some friends, because that's the life that we've chosen. So we're spending some time in New Zealand, and I had never seen a family so well-oriented and so different than it is here. And perceptions are so different. I mean, perception is really everything. So in the United States, at least I found, it's really important status and money and who you are and how you dress and what you drive. And these are really important things to people. In New Zealand, it's completely different than that. For them, if you're one of the haves and have, well, let's say a lot of money, you would never drive a nice car. You would never be flashy in any way, because that would maybe serve as a signal to your neighbors that you might think that you're better or more important than them. They would never want that, because for them, their top currency is relationships. It's about who you know and about who you can help. So, for example, when we were in Australia, it's very similar to the attitude in the U.S., where it's important how much you have and what status you've accumulated in your life through monetary, visual cues. So when the New Zealanders come to Australia, the perception is that they're lazier because it's not as important for them to earn as it is to help. And in a real way, not to try to earn points. So, for example, when I was at this family's house, they were always saying, can we get you a hot drink? And when we would say yes, the other members of the family would be like, oh, well, we didn't get there in time. Rather than here, it'd be like, what do you mean? You're sitting down, go get it yourself. It's a very different attitude here. So these are things that I learned that are important to some people, where other people, it's important to have someone recognize the accomplishments that they've had. You know, for example, call me doctor. Don't call me Mr., call me doctor, which is important to some people. So when you figure out what's important and why, it helps you move through the process a lot better, because you then can visualize what's important to you, and you can see what's important to other people and help them with what's important to them in their lives. And again, it's not necessarily money. Most of the time isn't.
You know, and that really is, I mean, it's so fascinating that how we probably don't even recognize how in tune we are to conspicuous wealth, I guess you would call it, in this country, and the environment that you described as being, I guess, more of an internal wealth. Their currency is happiness, making other people happy, and it sounds like they're happily achieving that by doing it the way that they are. And I guess ego, like you said, has a lot to do with it. It seems that, I guess, your ego doesn't care if you really are happy, but it's more concerned if other people think you're happy, which seems like what people get when they try to achieve happiness versus happily achieving. Well
said. Thank you. I'm going to use that.
You help clear the clouds on this stuff. It really is remarkable, how you're able to break through with that. And like I said at the top of the show, at first you may think it's semantics, but it's not. It's such a huge distinction. And I think when people get their head wrapped around it, it's almost like you can instantly stop and look around you and start realizing, you know what? I could be happy right now with what I'm doing. And it really is a tremendous gift that you bring to people with this information. And like I said, it's not just wishful thinking or kind of motivational. It really has some scientific merit to it in the way that you put it together with purpose is remarkable. And I think that's why I feel that you were definitely an influencer to be able to bring this to so many people.
It's about happily achieving where you are at the moment, being in the moment. So, for example, I do reevaluations not just on other people, but on myself as well. And I said, well, am I doing what I'm teaching? And this is always something that's really important to me, because I really want to walk the walk. It's not about talking the talk for me. So I looked at my life and I thought to myself, I've got 3 adult kids that are still living at home. They're 21 and 18. And I'm working my tail off to have this beautiful house for my family and my wife and I at the beach. And for me, it's not about ego. My friends think I'm cool already. It's not about my house, although my house is beautiful. And it's really, what am I working for and what am I doing? Well, the most important thing to me is to be able to travel, spend time with the people that I love, and grow and contribute. and I looked at my time that I was spending, and most of it was working and doing corporate events and training and executive training so I can earn the money to hang on to this house that I love and that's beautiful and that everybody else loves. So I called a family meeting and I said, listen, you guys, there's 5 of us here and I'm only one of 5 and I'm taking care of everything. I need everybody else to put in their 20%. Yeah, Dad. Yeah. Well, 2 years went by and I finally decided, you know what? I'm going to put my house on the market because the most important thing to me are to do the things that I want to do, not to pay for this expensive house. So it's exactly what I did. So I gave notice to my 3 boys that they're going to be men soon and that they're on their own, that I'm going to sell the house and give them a little cash to get started and they're on their own. And so that's what I did, put the house on the market and sold it. And my wife, Rocky, and I ran away for 6 weeks to the South Pacific. It was amazing. And that wouldn't happen if I didn't reevaluate what was really important to me at the time.
Well, it's probably one of the best lessons that they learned as well around that. And it is true because a lot of people think, I have all this stuff. But could I truly be happy without it? And if they think about so many people that have a lot of stuff, there's a lot of extra stuff that goes along with having a lot of stuff, and it makes a lot of people miserable. How can people find out more about Greg Jacobson and especially about the book, to get a hold of the book as well?
Well, the book's available right now on Amazon. Just you can go to Amazon.com and look up Think Yourself Happy, or you can also go to thinkyourselfhappybook.com and you can register once you get the book. And there's a lot of cool bonus materials that I throw in there. I'm always adding things because it's always about value added for me.
Yeah, and I got to say, it really is a tremendous book, and the ideas are so easy and quickly to grasp, and it's a quick read, and it really is a powerful read, and I'm looking forward to a lot more from you around this subject. And I think the way that you look at this and the way that you really kind of move the clouds out of the way of people's thinking around happiness is going to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. So I want to certainly thank you for coming on to Influencers Radio and sharing this today.
Thanks for the time, Jack. And remember, it's not just about happiness, it's about happily achieving, because you got to have both. You got to have both to really feel it inside.
Absolutely. So, folks, there you have it. Definitely check it out. ThinkYourselfHappyBook.com. The book is Think Yourself Happy, 5 Changes in Thinking That Will Immediately Improve Your Life, from Greg Jacobson. And remember, until next time on Influencers Radio, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.